Alright, I think I have everything I need here. I am going to cook some soup bone off in the crock pot, make some stew out of that. At one point we bought a cow. I think a friend of mine bought a cow too, and they left me some soup bones before they moved out of town. Soup bone's always the last thing to go, it seems like. But, I was kind of surprised. I thought it was just bone. Apparently there's meat on there, so it's enough meat to make a meal out of it. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. I'm going to start by prepping some mirepoix. That is some carrots, some onion, and traditionally use celery, but I never seem to have it in my house. It's alright though. I'm going to get it going in the Instapot here. And this is my first time doing it in the Instapot. So I'm going to see how it goes. But I'm going to start by getting my mirepoix prepped. Finish off this onion. I'm going to do a remoulage with the bones after I'm done cooking the stew. Get a little more of the juicy goodness out of them. My scrappy stuff, like the butts of the carrots, that's going to go in there. I'm not going to put my peels in there. Some chefs do that. I think it just makes it bitter and cloudy. I'll go to the compost, as does most things around here. I do need a receptacle for this stuff, though. Perfect. I'll go bigger chunks, I think. Yeah, something that's affordable. I cooked in retirement homes for about 5 years, so I'm used to just making everything just small enough to not get stuck in your esophagus. It's kind of against my impulse to make big chunks for soup. End of my onion there. It's going to go in the stock pile. Stockpile pile. Just going to chunk it kind of large. I have some garlic I grew in my garden. I'm going to cut it on this round board here that I can easily wash so that doesn't... I usually wipe this board down, but sometimes if I'm not careful I end up getting like watermelon that tastes like garlic. This garlic can get kind of dirty too, which is fun though. It's, dirty is good. I think I might actually rinse these off. They're so caked with dirt.
Some people who are some mommies and daddies, they
Good thing I didn't save this one for replanting. It's got a lot of like worm damage. Nothing a few hundred degrees won't fix. So I'm gonna do some of this garlic for stew meat, and I'm not gonna compost this, and that is because I don't want to transmit any molds into the soil from the garlic. So that's kind of a rule of thumb with growing garlic is either burn or discard, landfill it. I'm not having a fire anytime soon. Maybe I will. Justin, if you're watching, I didn't mean that. He gets it. This is a cool tool for peeling garlic. All I gotta do is stick them in there. And it just kind of grips both sides of the peel and just knocks it right off. So you just gotta throw a few in there at a time. Since that really, sometimes you gotta knock the root end off, and that'll really free it up. Let's try that. Oh, I missed one. Yeah, from that point they all just pop right out. I'm gonna rinse these, because like I said, they're all caked in dirt. And these ones I gotta cut out some of these little worm damaged spots. And, you know, a lot of times I'll, you know, smash these or whatever. I'm just going to leave them in kind of big chunks for the stew. Oh, I missed a spot. You know, just get into quarters. And I think I'm going to save these few here for my my scalloped potatoes, because that's the other thing I'm making. Scalloped potatoes. I think I'll cross that bridge. Set these here. Side. Jury's still out about washing mushrooms. They are grown in sterilized chicken poop. And some chefs argue washing them makes them slimy, which I agree they do, so I don't wash them until right before use. One false statement is they absorb water, which actually I think depends on what mushroom you use, because I think according to some that has been debunked. According to others, it has been confirmed for different things. From one experiment I heard, they soaked them in water and weighed them again to see if they absorb water. I don't know which kind of mushroom it was. but according to that one, they don't. But from what I understand, it's not so much that they absorb water as they start releasing their own and breaking down their own water. So, yeah, the jury's still out. Anyway, I'm going to put these mushrooms in, I think at the same step as the garlic. And I like my mushrooms to have some dimension. I don't want a two-dimensional mushroom, so instead of slicing them, I'm just going to quarter, or some of these bigger ones I'm going to cut into sixths. But I don't want them just sort of disappearing, you know. I like my mushrooms to stand out. Excuse me. Okay. Some mushrooms there. What else do we need? Cut my herbs. Might as well cut my rosemary. Now, because I'm lazy, I'm just going to leave my thyme whole and throw it in there, and then just pick out the stems after all the leaves fall off. Those are going on the stove. Go in this shot glass for now. Fine by me. I have this cute little mise en place cups I never use, so I keep them in a really hard to access place.
Alright, we have to turn this off.
Alright.
Finish it. Okay.
I'm hoping it's not too freezer burned. It's looking pretty juicy. So as you see, there's a lot of bone on there, but there's also a lot of meat. So a friend of mine was just giving this away. You know, she was moving across the country, but she had several of these in her freezer. So they do the buy the cow thing too.
What's that look like?
Huh?
Can you pick me up at me?
Yeah. Can you give me 1 second? I'm gonna wash my hands.
I like the mushrooms.
You like the mushrooms?
Mm-hmm.
It's a clean towel. I'm only gonna pick you up part of the way because you're not wearing any pants. Okay. It's soup bone. Don't touch it because it's raw meat. That's gonna be dinner.
Can you put me down?
Yeah. All right. Set that on saute. Some salt on there. That's a salt. Pepper. Okay. Wait for that to get hot. I'll just take a quick. Okay. I think our pan is getting hot. I'll turn my hood on over here. Put it on high. I don't think we need a little more oil. What I like about a instant pot or a crock pot is being able to sear in the pot. Now with my crock pot, I have to sear on the stove and then transfer to the crock pot. So that's going to town there. I don't get too much steam in the face. So, in the meantime, we're going to start working on another project. Scalloped potatoes. Dairy-free, gluten-free. Turn my oven on to 375, 350, depends on how good your oven is. Just on the baking dish. Getting a little color there. Where did I leave the butter? Butter, 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 butter. This is gluten or dairy-free butter, fake butter, vegan butter. It is not real. It's just an illusion. We're gonna grease up this pan with this here fantasy. See how the friend is doing. So, getting some color on there. Yum yum. Color is flavor. Yeah, building flavor. All right, back over here. So that's greased up. We're going to set that aside. Set up this bit here. Can you see it back there? There it is. Anyway, I'm going to slice up, I don't know, it's maybe 5 pounds of potatoes, of Yukon Golds. Yukon Golds are the best for this. Russets are going to get really fall aparty, and reds are okay, they're a little brittle. Yukon Golds hold up the best. for like mashed potatoes. They're a lot more forgiving. It's really hard to overwhip them. I haven't tried hash browns with them, but they're really good for scalloped potatoes. Tricky part is we have to make them fit through this hole. So for a lot of them, that's no good. Which is unfortunate. I like my scalloped potatoes bigger. You'll jam some of these littler ones through, no problem. Tasty. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Okay. I guess that kind of works. Not really. Put it on. This is going to need a splash of red wine. And add my veggies. Start on the color themselves. Alright, let's do this. Get herbs, mushrooms, rosemary, garlic, a red wine, some chicken stock here. Sorry, that's really not a good view angle. Anyway, so I got it all in there, right? So I'm gonna add. Actually, I think that's enough liquid. It's all in there. I had some backup chicken stock, but I'm not gonna need it. So it's essentially just gonna stir it all up again. Okay. So with that, get our lid on. Lid on. I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna seal it. So you see we have a little bad angle. Okay. So this is vented. You want it sealed because we're gonna do pressure cooking. And we're going to. Sorry about that. Lost you. Pressure cook. Oh, no, it's still on saute. We're going to switch to, so cancel. Pressure cook. I'm going to go for, I think about an hour and a half should do it. I think. It's not going to take a good we should hit about 6 o'clock. Okay, so I got my P, pressure cook. It's gonna give me a little flame icon up here, and oh, there it goes. So you can see that. It's really hard to make out. Okay, the lighting all kind of blends together. Okay, so while that's going, we're gonna get our scalloped potatoes rolling. So. Pitch up a little higher, so you can't. I'm trying to use tools I'm not going to need later. Okay. Yeah, this doesn't work. Back down. Sorry for the advance here. I'm just gonna get a low angle here. Okay, so set the board over here, and then the chicken there. This way, I'm not gonna eat it. So this is an adaptation of a dairy-free, or not a, from a recipe from El Gaucho that had dairy in it and cheese. I'm going to attempt it with just coconut milk and see what happens. I'm going to talk more about it later because I need to get work done, and then we'll talk about it once I get into the oven. This is the thicker setting for the slicer attachment. Because I want, I'll show you how thick they are. It's the thicker of the setting on the slicer attachment for the. I keep calling it a Roboku. That's a brand name. This is a KitchenAid. I'm not a Cuisinart fan, I gotta say. I just farted again. So, some of these come out kind of thin, but this is, you want to have them not disintegrate on you. So I'm gonna call that my first layer. So like I was saying, this is an adaptation from El Gaucho. Had this been El Gaucho, what I would do at this point is throw down some steak seasoning, the El Gaucho steak seasoning, and some red chili flakes, and some Parmesan cheese. I think we were using Burana cheese. Did I mention chili flakes? Some crushed chili flakes. And some raw garlic. No. It's nothing a few hundred degrees won't fix. You know, just sprinkle a little garlic on there. You know, I think I am going to do. I'm going to throw a little rosemary in there. That's not at the couch, that's just my own. I love rosemary, it's one of my favorite flavors, you know. Nothing's stopping me from putting it in there. What was I saying? Barbecue. Okay. We're going to talk more about why I'm doing it this way and not the other ways. Do another layer real quick. The way I've seen a lot of people do this is they'll steam their potatoes or they'll cook their potatoes and then cut their potatoes, or cut their potatoes and steam their potatoes, and then they'll make a bechamel, and then they'll marry it all together and then heat it up in the oven. And that's a lot of just various steps. I'm going to try to eliminate a lot of steps is what I want to do. This is pretty easy. It takes a while in the oven, but it's easy. Throw my rosemary, salt, pepper. So what's going to happen, I'm not building a sauce, right? At Del Gaucho, we would do the layers with the cheese, the seasonings, and then we just dump. For a hotel pan, we dump about 3 quarts of cream on top. And then you let the starch from the potatoes, the raw potatoes, sucks into the sauce, thickening the sauce. And also the sauce is reducing because we're going to cut some vents on top of the foil. So it's absorbing starch, it's reducing, and it's producing its own like perfect cream sauce. No need to build one in a separate pot. No need to pre-cook your potatoes. This is where it's at. Start working on layer 3 here. I think I nailed it on the potatoes. I'm just going to cut these last few here. Maybe one more. Spread those all out. Okay. Okay, so we got potatoes, seasoning. Oh, forgot the garlic in there earlier. Spread that out. Mix it in. Garlic, garlic, garlic. Anyway. Salt. You don't have to do it just this way. You can do it, you can use your seasoning salts, whatever. Season it any way you feel like. I have kids, so I'm going to back off on the spices. But, I think it's good. I can always season a little more at the table if I need to. But, at this stage, you just dump some coconut milk over the top. I'm going to turn my oven up to 400. It's going to need it. So, I'm not sure how much coconut milk in that. I think I'm going to eyeball it. But, it'll gouge, like I said, for a full-size hotel pan, which if you cook professionally, you know what I'm talking about. You use about 3 quarts of cream. And I'm talking like a handful of cheese per layer. Okay. Good. So and also too, like all the seasonings that you dump on the top and stuff, they're all gonna get washed around by the guy I see today. What is the deal? I'm a little worried that's not enough liquid. We need a little more liquid. Sweet. It's not cheap. Use a splash of water. Wash out that last bit of residual goodness. Okay. Here's the tricky part. So what the heck are you doing, Paul apart? Take there. Some paper on top. To keep it from getting all burnt. I have another bowl.
What?
I have another boil. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna boil it. Here's the crazy one. So, see if I can get you at a good view here. We're lucky. Okay. So, I'm gonna make a few incisions on the top or throw it in the oven. We're gonna cook it till it's done. I'm not quite sure how long it's gonna take. It's 4:45 now. I'm hoping it doesn't take more than like 2 hours because the potatoes are raw. But so like I said, those holes in the top, those are vents to let the coconut milk, or what originally heavy cream, allows it to evaporate somewhat. The starch is going to soak into the heavy cream. Like I said, with El Gaucho, we're throwing a handful of cheese per layer. It's going to get turn into a nice, beautiful sauce without any glutens. This one, however, is dairy-free. I hope it turns out good. You know, gotta try new things, branch out. Yay, our pressure cooker's going. It's gonna be done in about an hour and a half, I hope. So I'm gonna clean up, and we'll check back in with you in about an hour and a half. See how our little instant pot is going. See how our scalloped potatoes are doing. For the veg tonight, last Saturday, yeah, a few days ago, I cooked off some squash. We're finally going to eat it in a meal. I've been nibbling on it, but it's just kind of hasn't really worked its way into our menu yet. So that's going to be tonight. We're going to have that squish, as well as the veggies that are in there. Scalloped potatoes is our starch. And then we're going to take the leftover bones and do a remoulage on the... Actually, we could talk about remoulage right now. So, it's food coloring. So, cool. That's a big, big row. We're gonna say this. This right here represents beef bones, right? And the red stuff in there is the beefy goodness. You know, the different compounds that give stock its flavor. I'm going to say this is our stock pot, right? So you drop that in there. And eventually, through the process of osmosis, which we're going to, in our case, is going to be cooking for beef stock. If you're using big veal knuckles, you probably want to cook that. Ideally, like at El Gaucho, we did veal stock. We cooked it for 2 days, and then we even, it was monitored. We had a probe that would drop in there and verify that it was at the right temperatures for health code and everything, that it never got too cold or lukewarm, etc. And then we'd pull that off, and then we'd refill the stock pot and do what's called a remoulage, which is French for to rewash the bones. And like I said, so through osmosis, everything goes to equilibrium. So we have beefy goodness here, and this little shot glass is the bones. There's still beefy goodness in there, and then you have your stock, which is beefy goodness. However, we want to get as much of that beefy goodness as we can. Some of that beefy goodness comes out easier after the 3rd day. So I did a venison stock once, and actually the first stock after that, I think it was I did a 24-hour stock, pulled it off. It was more flavorful and brown and colorful, but the second stock was more gelatinous. It had a lot more of those connective tissues, things like that. So what happens is you add your previously cooked bones, and it's going to go to equilibrium. You're going to get, there's still some beefy goodness left in this bone, but you're going to end up with a lesser quality stock. But it's worth your while to go ahead and do it. Like I usually cook my chicken stock twice, but you're gonna get that last push of beefy goodness there. So, when it comes to chicken bones, however, you pretty much hit equilibrium after about 4 hours of cooking. So I only do it overnight just because I don't feel like staying up for 4 hours. I just let it go overnight and then, do remoulage, hit round 2. And, fish takes like 30 minutes. So, yeah, chicken, fish, beef, like I said, you can do that for like 24 to 48 hours. And then do a remoulage and get even more out. The venison, you can probably, anything with bones, you can probably make a stock out of. So, I'm going to check out for a while, clean up. Because right now we're just watching the clock. We got an hour and 25. I'm not going to ramble on that entire time.